All right, we're gonna go with take two here because I thought the first video was straight up trash, one of the worst videos that I've ever made, and didn't even feel like uploading it. So we're gonna go again. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Just got finished reading a story about Paul Heyman, and in that story, basically, it said what Paul Heyman's interests were going to be coming out of Wrestlemania 34, and in this, basically, Paul said that his WWE contract is going to be coming up at WrestleMania, and it looks like, Brock Lesnar will be leaving WWE at this time to pursue other interests, to leave, to go to UFC. Both of these rumors came out the week of WrestleMania 31, and as we were getting closer and closer, we really thought that Brock was leaving to go to UFC, and with that, Paul Heyman would pack his bags and leave as well. Paul is a guy that has a weird relationship with all of the McMahons, where basically they really like having him around, and at the same time, when something doesn't go right, or if maybe Paul doesn't get 100% his way, things go bad, and that's basically one of the reasons why Paul left when he was one of the lead writers of SmackDown back in the day. But, Paul is going to be leaving. He's looking at doing some sort of a reality project. In this, basically, he said that Brock was leaving. So we have to cover two things in this video. Brock going to fight for UFC. I will tell you, as a wrestling fan, I do understand that is a loss to WWE. He is one of their biggest stars. He is the guy that they put on the cover of the video games. He's the guy that they put on the cover of t-shirts. But to me, he may sell a lot of merch and bring a lot of money to the table, but we've been going through Brock Lesnar and WWE since WrestleMania 28, where he is a part-time worker. He is working a little bit more of a schedule than he was before, and maybe we're actually getting to a point where guys are going to be working less schedules, and, they're going to be working guys in and out, maybe guys like Randy Orton, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. Looks like she's probably going to be on that sort of a deal to keep her fresh. But Brock Lesnar has been the Universal Champion for a long time now, and Brock Lesnar has not been on Monday Night Raw for a lot of those Raws, and it's hard to get excited for what is going on in WWE when the prize is to reach the goal of being the Universal Champion. And I think that definitely needs to be there. We went through this from WrestleMania. When did he win the championship? He won it at SummerSlam, and he held it until WrestleMania 31. And I think that, honestly, his title reign that he's been on now has been longer than that reign there. And to me, it's been hard for me to get fired up to watch what is going on Monday Night Raw. And when you're watching what's going on Monday Night Raw, to follow what's going on in the main event, you get caught up in what's going on in the co-main events, in the mid-card, and even the opening matches. And that's like when you really go full-fledged into I Love Wrestling territory. Brock wants to leave. That's okay. I think that, honestly, his fighting career in UFC, he's probably going to be at the age in the heavyweight division where he fights once, maybe twice at the most in his career. And I think that he's a guy that he is a legend of UFC. He's not going to want to hurt his value more than it is now. I'm not saying that he's not going to be a Hall of Famer or he just doesn't want to get embarrassed, but everybody can remember how Chuck Liddell's career in UFC ended, and I don't think Brock Lesnar wants to go down that direction. I understand that he wants to make money, and he'll do whatever he has to make that money for his family because he is a prize fighter, but I don't, and I hope he doesn't want to just go out there and get embarrassed to get a paycheck from UFC. So there is always that, whole landscape of maybe he leaves, he trains for UFC, he has a few fights, and he comes back to WWE someday. Maybe he's one of those guys like The Undertaker. He only has one match a year at WrestleMania, and I'm cool with that. I think that would be something that would go along with it. In the article, it basically says for Paul Heyman, the only interest that he has for sticking around at WWE, if he is asked, is to be the manager of Roman Reigns or Ronda Rousey. To me, honestly, Ronda Rousey is a kind of a cool thing to do because she is coming from UFC, much like Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman would sort of be the eyes and ears to help her out along the way. Roman Reigns is a little bit of a big surprise. I think everyone's been looking for Paul Heyman to maybe do something that we're split off with Roman Reigns around the WrestleMania 31. Basically, Paul said he had worked with Roman's family and he respected him and he shook his hand. And a lot of people looked at that as sort of future telling that maybe there would be a day when Roman would turn heel and maybe Paul would be his manager or his advocate, whatever you want to call it. To me, I think we've been on this roller coaster ride with Roman Reigns for a long time. It's easy to tell that it hasn't been working when he beat Triple H, when he beat The Undertaker. I don't think it's going to work when he beats Brock Lesnar. I don't think fans are going to miraculously cheer and throw their hands up like, yay, Roman won. I think that definitely Roman turning heel, I don't think it's going to have that Stone Cold Steve Austin effect where it's not going to work. I think it would shock a lot of people because there are a lot of young Roman fans. And it would give WWE sort of a fresh face on Monday Night Raw to have him a lot of competitors that he could match up against for that Universal Championship. And having Paul behind him, you could even set up a Brock Lesnar match down the road. Brock coming back, not having Paul Heyman is going to be a little bit of a gamble. I know that Brock is the guy that told Vince to bring in Paul because Brock did one promo on Monday Night Raw after his comeback against John Cena. He knew it didn't work. He didn't even put the mic down in the ring. He basically took the mic all the way up the ramp and handed it to Vince when he walked through Gorilla and told him to get Paul Heyman because he knew that it was not going to work without Paul. Paul was his manager for his first run back in 2002, of course, when he won the King of the Ring. And then he would beat Rock at SummerSlam, and then that all changed at Survivor Series. Brock went on a little bit of a face turn for a while, where he ended up doing the rest of his career with Paul. But definitely when Paul was doing the talking for Brock, that's the best place that they were going to be. So from looking at this one article, we have to see that Brock is leaving WWE to go to UFC as soon as possible, more than likely after WrestleMania. And then we also have maybe a Roman Reigns heel turn coming up in the future to keep Paul Heyman around. So I'm looking forward to both. Let me know what you guys think down below. Peace out, everybody.